Good evening. This is Penelope Flynn and Cranston. We are co-host a discussions for the other hood, and we are here this evening to talk about rinse, wash, rinse, repeat. Kind of washing out, clearing out the mind after this November campaign season. So as we get started, as normal, we
Headphones.
talk a little bit about the weather. You can't hear me?
No headphones.
No headphones?
Put on your headphones.
Why? You can't hear me?
You sound like you're in a tunnel.
Boy,
Or
right.
leave them
Well,
off. Or leave them off completely.
okay. Either one of those
Either
things.
one.
All right. Either one. Okay. Well, we'll talk about the weather. Cranston, you get started. How is your
Okay,
weather?
the weather here is finally feeling like fall. This week, it was in the 60s at night. Right now, it's 57, and it is chilly. So, yeah, it finally feels like fall.
So when you say feels like fall, what is that for Jacksonville?
For here it is, you notice when you walk out in your shorts and say, I should have worn something longer when you go out. It's definitely there's a chill in the air at night. During the day, it's not too bad. It's still nice and sunny, but at night you can say, yeah, except that we don't have any, the leaves don't change colors or anything like that and stuff. Flowers are still blooming and those little lizard
Mhm.
things are still running around.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
So when you say temperature wise, what is it? 60s?
It gets
50s?
into the upper 70s and lower 80s during the day, and then it drops down into the 60s at night.
All right, that's not bad. All right, how about you?
Well,
Huh?
it's not bad from Minnesota or something and stuff, but
Yeah,
for here it's kind of like
yeah,
we're
yeah.
the sunshine state, so hey.
Yeah, you're not dressed for the weather, right? You don't have clothing for that weather. All right. Okay, well, how about you, Otto? How's the weather?
Well, it does feel like fall here, and it's a beautiful fall because in the morning it's chilly. It's about 50 degrees, and in the afternoon it gets up to about 72. And the leaves are all falling, and it's plenty of sunshine, very dry. It's a really almost perfect time of year,
Super. All right.
except for the god dog Christmas
Yeah,
ads that are in this.
yeah,
I never mind. I'll talk.
yeah. Again, how about you, Sonia? How's the weather? I know you're cold already. What's up?
Oh yeah, we're finally into late fall. It's about 40 degrees right now. It's not going to
Mm.
get much. It's supposed to get down to 33 tonight.
Whoa.
So we're hovering around lower 50s. Actually, I'm looking through the forecast for next week. Next week is supposed to get down to 40 in the low 40s. So
Whoa. How are you
yeah,
feeling? I mean, this is what your second winter up
yes, it's
there?
my second winter. Um, yeah, I'm gonna be staying indoors a lot,
Yeah, I can
and lots of
imagine.
vitamin D.
Yeah, I
'Cause-
can imagine. Yeah, that's gonna be
and I
wild up
still
there.
have to figure out how to get my cat from Florida to up here, and he's not gonna be happy.
No, no. But if he's a mouser, he may be good for the winter up there.
Nah, he's not a
No, no.
mouser.
Oh well. Okay. Well, tonight we're going to talk a little bit about cleaning up after this November campaign season, and a lot of us, I mean, it is very brutalizing, for us to have to go through all of the rhetoric, all of the misdirection, all of the misstatements uncorrected, and it just caused so much stress, I think, for so many people. But now, we're sliding into the end of the year and into our new year, only about, a little over a month from now, right? And how can we move into our new year with, I'm not going to say happy thoughts, but at least practicing some different methods for maintaining I guess, the sanctity of our psyches. So, I don't know if this is something that you all like talking about or discuss, but what is it that we do in order to kind of clear the decks, clean things up psychologically as we move into the end of the year for Christmas season and for the following year? Anybody got any uh, concepts?
Well, the first
I,
thing you should do is just wash all of that off of you. Take a nice hot shower, take a bath, wash your hair, just get it all off of you,
right. And that's another thing.
mentally and physically.
Yeah, because that's another thing. We find that when we become depressed, one of the first things that will suffer is hygiene.
Hmm.
You stop taking care of yourself. You don't want to get up. You don't want to shower, shave, brush your teeth, change clothes. All of those things that kind of connect us with civilization. So I guess one of the things first is, yeah, um, don't neglect your personal hygiene. So I guess that should be one of our first things to kind of do some house cleaning is don't neglect your personal hygiene. Right?
Don't neglect self care.
Mm-hmm.
Get up, move, even if it's going up and down the stairs in your house, apartment, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Put on some good music. Put on any music that you associate with happier times.
Okay. All right. So we have our don't. I'm gonna try to do that thing here. Don't neglect personal hygiene. We got, and we'll show that. Don't neglect personal hygiene and to exercise self care.
Hmm.
Or not, and we're saying exercise self care. We need physical exercise. Anything else?
Mental exercise. Find
Meditation.
find your happy place in your brain and don't live there, visit
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Right. It's up there and put a comment to exercise. Um, Come on. I can't get the leftover word out, of course. An important word. Exercise. Self care. Physical exercise. You know what? I'm doing this, but
I'm trying to think where I had I'm part of a weekly group where our leader always emphasizes the music. Make yourself a playlist that will keep you out of that spot that you can spiral down to
okay.
and
So
and
when
get it on. So
you have your music, what music do you all generally tend to gravitate toward?
I took either 80s music or I've been playing a lot of early Jackson 5.
All right. All right.
Um, uh, there was one song that played. I did not know that War had a song called Cinco de Mayo, so I kept playing that on loop.
Okay.
For those who don't know, my birthday is on Cinco de Mayo.
All
So it's
right.
just like I now have a birthday anthem.
Yeah.
But it
All
did get
right.
me out of that spot.
All right. And so we had to don't neglect your personal hygiene, to exercise self-care with physical exercise, meditation, prayer, yoga, and so we say now to create a playlist of music that provides support. So now, as we went through this, as Sonia was saying, she has on hers the Jackson 5, Cinco de Mayo from War, her now personal anthem.
Yeah.
Anybody else have
Earth, Wind,
any
and
music?
Fire,
Yeah, Earth, Wind,
which
and
is
Fire.
probably Nikki's favorite.
Yeah. So really,
The
so did
problem,
anybody? Hmm?
the problem is, can it last 4 years? My thing, here's my thing, Penelope,
Hmm.
and I think people know this phrase, and I'm bringing it back and changing it a bit. But my phrase is turn on,
Turn
Hmm.
turn
on.
on, turn on, tune
Hmm.
off, and drop out.
And drop out.
That's right.
Okay, now, what do you mean by that? Some people have been kind of young and may not know what those are. So, what does that mean?
So it used to be a phrase called tune in, turn in, turn. Excuse me. To turn
Okay.
on, turn on, tune in, drop out. I'm changing it. Because basically what we need to do is we need to. I mean, all these years, the last several years, all these edibles and marijuana and hemp and everything else has been legalized except for crazy Florida. So we have access to new uh, recreational facilities, so to speak, and we have to turn off all of these political shows, the
Mhm.
MSNBCs, the Fox News, the CNNs. We have to turn that stuff off. Just tune it off, and we have to drop out of the constant conflict that we're having with people. It used to be in polite society, Penelope, as you know, there's certain things you didn't talk about. You didn't talk about money, you didn't talk about religion, and you didn't talk about politics. So let's drop out of those conversations.
Yeah, and I think when you put it that way, it's kind of brought up to mind to me that when you say that politics and we're not supposed to talk about money, we're not supposed to talk about religion. But isn't it true that those specific things, and I think, that and sex, because they were so taboo to have discussions about, that has been the what do you call it, the major focus of our media. It has been all taking all these taboo items and monetizing them, from our religion, our politics, sex, you know, and money.
Yeah,
Their
yeah,
whole shows, channels dedicated to discussing money. Channels, of course, online and on television, regarding sex. Same thing with regard to religion. Who knew religion was going to be a television thing? So all these issues that used to be private are now things that have been monetized and commodified.
and
And
open to
right,
discussion. It's like everybody's the first openly fill in the blank. It's like JFK is the first openly sex addicted president or something. It's like why is that? Why is that really of any import
yeah.
other than passing the civil rights bill or something, or you know,
I mean, I think about, we took political regimes when I was in college. And one of the things we discussed, is private vice and public virtue. And that, basically, the concept, I guess, that your vices were supposed to remain private. And, in keeping your vices private, it put you in a better position to be able to support public virtue. I think, and now as I'm older and think about it, I believe it is because when people look at the things that you do in your private life and they are able to use those to batter you with in your public life, it's just kind of like they say, you're such a hypocrite because you do this in your private life. But those two things are very different. How I deal with what happens in my private life, me and my significant other, or the issues I'm having, feuds with my relatives, or with things going on at my job that don't have anything to do with what I'm doing with respect to community, my church or whatever. Those things, that private vice public virtue thing is kind of interesting. And
but
I
but
mean,
but but the question is what's the vice? I'm not saying that any sexual activity between two consenting or three or multiple consenting people. Understand?
adults,
Like, that is not a
consenting
to me. That
adults.
is not a that is not a vice.
No, it's not a vice,
But the
and
vice,
it is
yeah.
nobody's business. That's the whole point. Regardless of whether or not it's a vice, what you're doing is some stuff that most people would think is kind of off the deep end. the reality is that if it is kept private between consenting adults, whose business is it? You know? And I would think that the term of vice would not include things that are, I don't know, considering like illegality. So if you are a person and you are gambling, that gambling that is a vice. I don't think it's illegal. It's just a vice.
It's not
And
illegal.
as long as it's private and you keep it,
You're
your
not
personal
stealing.
business.
As long as you're not stealing other people's money to make bets.
Yeah, then you're all
Because
right.
bottom line, I'm dropping out. As I said, dropping
Mhm.
out of the debate about what's a vice and what's not. Let's stick to the thing. Don't harm other people in whatever that you're doing. I don't really care at that point. I don't care
I
about
know, but I
that.
mean,
Yeah,
regardless of whether I know you say you don't care, but the point is, and again, I'll get to it. The concept of private vice and public virtue is that I do a thing. I know that it's wrong, right? Right? I'm doing a thing that I know is wrong, is a sin or whatever. But simply because I do a thing and I know that it's wrong and I know that it's a sin, doesn't mean that when someone else does a wrong thing, that I shouldn't say, "Hey, that's a wrong thing," right? And people say, "Well, hey, you can't tell somebody not to do that because now you're being a hypocrite." No, I'm just being a person that does bad things. Just because I've done a bad thing doesn't mean that I can't tell you that, yeah, that thing that I did is a bad thing. You shouldn't do that bad thing because it's a bad thing. And I think that's one of our problems that somebody does something. For instance, I mean, I recall back during the confirmations for Clarence Thomas, and if you recall that we had so many senators and Congress people who had something to say, but Ted Kennedy stayed quiet. And the reason he stayed quiet was because, everybody was afraid, or he was afraid of the specter of Chappaquiddick. So he didn't say anything. He never said anything, even though he should have been able to say what that man did, that woman accused him of. If he has done this thing, then that's wrong. He shouldn't be on anyone's Supreme Court. But that, when that concept of you've done shutting you down, that private vice, then it ends up being that he can't even speak out on the issue that someone else should not do that thing. But that's all I'm saying. So I think, yeah, I'm with you with your, and I'm right. I was getting ready to post what you said, but I don't know if I got the quote correct. I have turn on, tune off, and drop out. Is that correct?
Tune in.
Are you
no,
saying
that's
tune
not.
out?
I want you to turn it off.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to
Yeah.
turn off. I want you to turn off MSNBC. I want you to turn off The View. I want you to turn off Fox, Twitter,
Okay. Yeah.
Instagram.
Okay.
But they stop talking about politics and how much
Okay.
somebody's hurt. I want you to turn off all of those. We know those confirmation hearings are going to come on all year, next year, January, and all through next year about the crazy nominations that what's his name has made. Don't get into it.
Okay. Turn on, tune out, turn off, and
Drop
drop
out.
out.
Drop
All right.
out of those conversations.
There
Yeah,
we
all of
go.
it.
All
Every
of it.
variation therein. It's like
All
stop.
right.
It's like
All
stop.
right.
This is too much. Why were you still in Twitter? But number one is owned by a madman, and number two is used for political disinformation. Why are you still on it? Why are you still reading it?
Yeah. Yeah. So I say, why? Why? Why do we do this thing? All right. So in Cranston, do you have any tidbits for um this cleanup, mediums?
Yeah. It's well, the first thing I remembered is that years before, whenever there was an election cycle that did not quite go our way, and I think the last really bad one up until last week was Reagan. And I would always say to people, well, if you we lived through Nixon, so Reagan is going to
Mhm.
be easy. and the bushes were not really that bad. In fact, compared to this, nothing is that bad. So that's the first thing, is that we survived that. It may not seem like we will survive the ones that have happened in the past, but we can survive this too. The second thing is, though, you do have to try to be as positive as possible, um, and just don't go doom scrolling or doom creating anything that comes up. And the most probable one is, just remember that there is a sort of incredulity that goes along with this, that you can just kind of keep that as a benchmark to say, no matter how crazy it seems, yeah, we can kind of go, we will go through this. And it reminds me of something that I think the first thing that he had said on the program, on the Daily Show program after the election, was Jon Stewart just whispered into the camera, "This is the resistance." So yeah, remember that you are part of the resistance. So just act
Hmm.
accordingly.
Yeah. Okay. Now, how should we act accordingly, being part of the resistance?
The thing is that you realize that it's the kind of thing, and I noticed that this years ago, that people tend to think of organizations that do things as automatic, or it doesn't require you to do it. Like most of the people eligible to join the union for the city didn't really know what the union did, except that the union was going to be like your parents spanking somebody if they did something to you. There were people who would wait until they were about to be fired, then they would join the union
Hmm.
in the hopes that it would keep them from being out on the street. And we tend to look at all of these organizations that do things as automatic, or as an official institution. Like, you don't belong to the NAACP, but whenever
Hmm.
something goes wrong, you call on them to straighten it out. Well, we
Right.
have to realize that, we can't sit on the side and wait for somebody else to do it. We have to participate in these things,
Right.
and let them know when it's, if you don't say anything about it, you're giving them permission to do it. So that's the thing that we
Right.
have to remember most of all. Even if it's nothing other than writing a letter or making a phone call or talking somebody down off of a ledge, that we have to get out there and do that kind of stuff now.
Yeah. Actually, I think that was one of the things we talked about earlier. Otto and I would have this discussion, and that, I don't know how old everybody is in this and how many people remember. Some of them you have missed it. Other people would have missed it on the other end. And that was, remember the Yogi's Ark? And we're on our way to the perfect place because they looked around and, the place where they lived, the park and stuff was filthy. People were throwing around all this litter and it was just terrible. And so, I say, we're going to get out of here. We create the ark. We're going to find a perfect place where all of us can go, and, all those little characters, from Quick Draw McGraw to, Yogi Bear, Boo Boo, all of them. We get on this ark and fly out in order to find the perfect place. And, each episode they would go and they would find a place and it would be perfect for a while. And then here they come, the people with the garbage and the stuff, and they're throwing it around, or something happens that removes, the perfection from the place that they found. And so we go an entire season of Yogi's Ark, and they're going from place to place, and it's complete and total mess. And finally, they look around. It's this new place, and they look, and it's a mess already. And it's like, this is home. We're back home, and it is a mess. And then finally, Yogi says, "Look, we're tired of moving from place to place. We got to clean our own house." So that's what they do. They say you have to make our own home into the perfect place. Because I'm saying this because we have so many people saying Where am I gonna go? What am I gonna do? I got to get my passport. We got to get the heck up out of here. This is a terrible situation that's getting ready to come up. 4 years. Oh my gosh. Someone said 4 years. We can get through it. And someone said, yeah. Ask Anne Frank's family. Said 4 years can be a very long time. In the scheme of this type of brutality. We don't know exactly what's going to happen or how it's going to happen. I mean, we've heard threats, we've heard saber rattling, but we've heard that before. I think the issue is that, when you have rats in your house, you exterminate the rats, you don't leave the house. So, our goal is to figure out, how do we get rid of these rats, that are in our house? Not, go try to find this quote unquote perfect place. We got to clean our own house. We know how to clean. We've been doing it, for ages. Just some of us, because we had to clean so much, we thought that we could bring our children, our nieces, our nephews, family, friends, the next generation, into a world where they didn't have to clean so much. We thought that we'd put all the cleaning behind us. But apparently, cleaning is a full time job that we have to do all the time. Otherwise, we end up in the mess that we're in right now. So, we need to be going back and historically looking at our books, our films, and realize that there is some cleaning that has to be done. Granted, the house is a little bit different. The technology is a little bit different than what it was, all those decades ago when people understood, you know, all the methods of cleaning. But, we're smart. We have people who are focused and committed. And all it takes is, understanding that we want to maintain the house. We just need to get rid of the vermin that are infecting it. So, I'd say, all the people who want to get your passports and things of that ilk, I say good idea. No problem having a backup plan. That is always a good idea. But before, you head out, to, points north, east, south, or west, we got to figure out, how we are going to clean this house. And then, take not just figure it out, but then take whatever steps that are necessary. We gotta, put out the bait traps, put out the mouse traps, the boric acid, whatever it is, whatever the pest is. Figure out how we're gonna manage it, and then not just figure it out, but to do it, you know. And we may have more pests than we ever realize. We may think that all we have is some roaches and rats. We find out, we got possums, in the attic, and we got raccoons running around here somewhere. It's like, even like our raccoons, etc., in the grand scheme of things, they may be nice little critters that we want to see from inside our homes, but we don't want them inside our homes. So we make sure that again, all that has to leave the house. And you can't say, I'm what's his name, that Michael Jackson thing. What is it? Ben. I have Ben and Snowball or Socrates, whatever his name is. These are my pet rats and stuff like that. No, no pet rats. No pet rats. Not
Well, it's
not
like
not not this house.
spring cleaning. That's all it is.
Hmm.
It's cleaning out all that clutter that you had that you
Yep.
accumulated over the years.
Yep.
Once
And
again, the things that
sometimes
they're not the things that are
not necessary. And things
not
like you said
necessary,
that.
and yeah, like
I was
is is
go
it
ahead.
necessary? Yeah, is it necessary that you get on Facebook and read all the horrible things that people associated with this new person coming in and adjacent to them? Is it important to know who the new attorney general is? Is that important to know? Is it important that you get on and debate with someone about the whether or not that person should be head of the health and human services?
Hmm.
What is it going to do you to really do it? I mean, I understand what Cranston said, the resistance, but resistance to what? I mean, the thing is, this man. once again, we said last week on your show, apparently he's won 71 million votes. The Kamala Harris had 61 million votes. 25 million votes disappeared. Voters and votes disappeared. That is the country in which we live right now. When things like that can happen, it's the greatest total decline in votes. And I don't think there's anything that came in that reflected anything like that. If you look at the Obama years, Obama won with 69 million votes, and then people became disenchanted with Obama. So his next election, he won with 65 million votes, and so something has happened and occurred. We can't get to it, as you said, Penelope, unless we clean things out, like getting to the rats. You can't get to rats if you have an old chair in the way or something, or
Right.
some old furniture, a bunch of clothes. You have to clear the way in order to exterminate. No exterminators coming to your house and laying down traps where you have a bunch of junk on piled on top of junk
Uh,
where rats can hide.
yeah, hoarding. Time to stop the hoarding. You know, I know that we're afraid and sometimes we hoard because, oh my gosh, something bad may happen. And I may need all this stuff, but you're going to have to get rid of the stuff you don't need because we can't find the rats in our midst if we're giving them places to hide. So, time to clear out these things. Like Otto was saying. A lot of people I've seen have been going on their uh, Facebook pages, Facebook, accounts, Twitter feeds, etc. Eliminating people. And one of the positive things, of course, is that we need to get rid of all this extraneous negativity. But on the other hand, one of the problems that I found moving toward where we are now is whenever somebody said something that somebody didn't like, and somebody's, oh no, we have to get them out of here. We have to uh, get them out of our organization. We have to remove them. And instead of saying, wait a minute, now you said that thing, member of said organization that I'm involved in. Why did you say that? You know, what was it that made, I mean, did you believe it was true, or were you just saying it because you wanted somebody that you admired to be friends with you and you thought that's something that they thought was funny or cute? Um, is it not true at all? You just were saying it. Was it something your parents said, or did you heard your uncle say, or things that were said around you all the time when you were growing up and you never questioned it? I think for a very long time, we have been shutting people up without asking them the questions. Why did you say that? Or why do you believe that? Or do you really believe that? And I think that this is what happened. Somebody gets their ass on their shoulders because someone said something that they didn't like, insulting or offensive, but instead of saying, wait a minute, do you know that thing you said was offensive to me? Why did you say that? And they may say, because I just don't like you. You're a snotty nosed brat, and I said the thing to you that is most injurious that I knew would hurt your feelings. No, I don't really believe those things, but I said it because I knew it would hurt your feelings, or because it would get me attention and get me more clicks, on this thing that I said. I'm going to keep on saying those things because more clicks I get, more money I get, and I'm really concerned about money and notoriety. So if I hurt your feelings to do it, then so be it. But I think you need to know the answer to those questions. I think we've just gotten to the point we stopped listening to each other and we stopped correcting each other. It used to be somebody said something, you say, wait a minute, why are you saying that? Or that's a lie, or that's wrong. Where do you find support for that? Sometimes it doesn't help. Some people don't want to listen. They'll say whatever it is they want to say. But there are people that do listen and who will say, this is what I was taught. This is what, all my life, my family told me this, and I never met any person who was black, or I never met any black women, or I never met any black men, or I never met a gay person before. I never met a straight person before. Um, so these are just the things that I presume because that's what I see on TV. I thought that all jocks acted this way, all quote unquote nerds acted this way. I just see what they show on TV. I presume that that's what you were like, and I never got to know you or anybody like you or in that category of persons. So all I have is a presumptions that come to me through mass media or from social media. So I think I know people are trying to eliminate, individuals that are, negative individuals, on their in their social media, etc. But if it's somebody that you have ever talked to before for whatever reason and you get ready to get rid of them, and you've agreed on other things, I would say, ask them, why do you believe that? Have you always believed that? Why is it that I never knew? And sometimes the reason you never knew is because of that thing that Otto and I talked about at the beginning, that Otto brought it up, that things like religion, your how much money you make, and politics were not things that were discussed in polite society. You don't discuss those things with people you don't know. It's impolite. But we have moved into being, things spearheaded by individuals of the ilk of what's that guy's name? Whose name I keep forgetting because I don't particularly enjoy his show. Well, you were just talking about him just now, Cranston. Um, what's his name? Politically incorrect guy.
Oh, Bill Maher.
Yeah, him. That this is a person who basically does not was not particularly funny, but found that there was a market for obnoxiousness and offensiveness. You know, a latter day. Howard Stern, not as blue, I guess, as Howard Stern, but even Howard Stern now, I think understands the destructive nature of the genie he let out of the bottle, and everyone else is trying to one up that in order to be the next guy, to get
Mhm.
people riled up and angry so that they can make money. That's what it's all about. And this is where we are as a result, that people get paid to rile people up. Because why? Because you have an industry, the mass media, and now social media, that rewards you for placing people in a situation of extremes to get the most extreme reactions, and you get the most clicks and things of that ilk. And that's how they tell you that you make the money. Which am I thinking about? Is that how is that even a thing? I don't know.
Well,
But
it's also in like normal conversations, right? You'll have someone come up to you and say, "What do you think about this?" Like someone will say, like a legal thing. Somebody will say, "What do you think of the what was it? I think it's at one point the Scott Peterson case. What do you think of that case?" And to be honest, I wasn't trying to be funny or anything. I thought nothing of the case. I'm
mhm.
not watching that case. I had my own
Yeah,
cases.
that's
I had my own cases to do. I'm not watching. I'm not watching a legal case for fun. And so, eventually somebody will decide that the person is guilty or not guilty, and then we'll talk about that. But it's like you don't have to have an opinion on everything because
right.
you should only have opinion, really true opinion on things
Mhm.
that you actually like know about, not things you think you know about. Just you're not a political
Mhm.
scientist. You're not an economist. You don't know about inflation. You don't know uh, uh, what is it? Race based. What is it? What is the thing they said about the critical race theory? You don't know
Yeah.
the. You don't know these things. Don't They're not easy things to know and learn.
Yeah.
How can you form an opinion? You just express an opinion based on something you heard or read. You have to stop. That's how you turn that off.
Right.
Turn that stuff off. Maybe read a book, and then I may not agree with your opinion, but
Mhm.
at least it's well informed.
Right.
And we can debate and talk about it. Can't debate and talk about someone's opinion about something that they got from Facebook based on what somebody else said. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And I would say to everybody then this: avoid sharing unfounded opinions. you know, just because I think or I feel the truthiness, I feel that this is the truth. No, stop sharing unfounded opinions. And I don't mean just like you have an unfounded opinion and then you want to talk to someone about it. I mean, when you're reading Facebook and you're reading Twitter or watching Instagram or whatever, and someone says a thing, you have no foundation upon which to place the belief that it is true or false or anything, but you repeat it either for the purpose of saying what a terrible thing or for the purpose of saying I support this thing. But if it's unfounded and it's someone's opinion that you have not researched, refrain from sharing it. Avoid sharing those unfounded opinions. They can only cause more chaos. And the more you share an unfounded opinion, the more you start to believe that it's fact. And opinion is not fact. It's just opinions.
This opinion.
So,
It's like the View. Whoopi Goldberg. I know people heard about this. She asked for a certain type of pastry from a bakery in Long Island. They've been there for a while. I think since 1870 something. And so everyone knows Staten Island in New York is red. They voted for that guy for like a 30% over Kamala Harris. And so the owner of the bakery said he couldn't complete Goldberg's order because his boiler had broken. And so what Goldberg said that it was a sign that the bakery didn't agree with her political positions that she's taken on the View. So a couple of days later, she apparently ordered the same pastry under a different name, and they received the pastry. And so her position was that obviously she didn't get a pastry because of who she was, or because of racism,
mhm,
etc. And so people reacted the way people react is that the bakery was inundated with orders and people were supporting them and lines around the block with those silly red hats on. And it's just it's like you're making a you're reacting to something, an opinion that is basically unfounded. A celebrity didn't get what they want and they said that it was based on this or that. The guy who owns the bakery said, I just want to bake. I really uh, there's no other reason for it. And it just spirals. You see how things spiral and based on unfounded things and unsupported ideas and opinions that may or may not be true, but haven't been, really, really investigated. And we go off on silly things, and they fill our lives. We fill our lives with silly stuff, and we have to throw that stuff away.
yeah, yeah. And again, like you say, she she doesn't see it that way possibly, but what she has is like a bully pulpit. And she used her bully pulpit to call someone's name, and it didn't, support her position any. It just gave them more individuals to shop at that place, and she could easily find somewhere else to buy whatever her pastry was. She didn't have to get it from there, but she wanted to, kind of say, "Well, look at me, I can say this thing about you." And then when I talk about again, as well, my concept of not necessarily bully pulpit, but certainly people be given a platform. And I know when I have the time and inclination, yes, I want to prepare my op-ed saying, "Don't worry, America, George Clooney will be fine." So, yeah, certain people given platforms for unfounded opinions and that cause or, precipitate chaos, which is what that was. And, as Otto said earlier, he complained and opened his yap about Joe Biden, but did not bother to state that Joe Biden in that election got more votes than any president in the history of this country. That slipped your mind. You know, 81 million votes. Okay? I mean, with that, he would have, if he had lost 10 million votes, he still would have trounced Trump. Still would have trounced him. So, what in the world was he complaining about? We could lose the House, we could lose the Senate. But guess what? That happened. You know why? Because people didn't vote. Because, again, we had people who were certainly, ready to, run in there and vote for Joe Biden. I certainly was one of them. I was furious when they changed up the candidate. I mean, to me, too close to the election. What kind of maniacs do this? And they better not say analytics. I don't want to hear it. So, you
Numbers
know,
don't lie.
I said what it said. Numbers don't lie. What's it? Figures don't lie, but liars figure. So there we go. But see, that's why I have to do, these things and wash this stuff out. And even this, editorials by individuals who should know
Editorial.
better to keep their mouths shut, right? See that? I have to get rid of that. That's all media. And that needs to be away. And I need to be one of those people that has all of my media references, etc. I need to have them like filtered for me, just into neat
Well,
little bites of fact,
the other
and
thing
that's
though,
it.
Penelope, I think someone was saying
Hmm.
that in the first this guy's first administration, when he won in 2016,
Hmm.
2016, that subscriptions were up to the Washington Post, New York Times.
Hmm.
They just went up. Not this time. It just didn't. It didn't happen. So what do you attribute that to?
Now, and I say that again. I'm so saying like right now, like right at the beginning of the at the or during the campaign period, that they went
No,
up.
no, no, no. But the outcome of the election was decided, and this person who's going to be president in 2025, take the office in 2025. Back in 2016, newspaper subscriptions went up to New York Times, Washington Post, papers like that, and it didn't happen this time. So what do you think is attributable to that?
Well,
One
the
it
one thing that I think is that when I was in high school, and one of the things we learned about was the Bolshevik Revolution. You had the Bolsheviks and you had the Mensheviks. The term Bolshevik, this meant majority, Mensheviks meant the minority. But in fact, they were saying the reality was that the Mensheviks were the majority and the Bolsheviks were a very loud minority. And I think that's where we are right now. That we have individuals that just are very loud minority. I do not believe that they're in the majority of this country. This thing happened, and what it does is try to make us look at each other differently. I have to say that I am one of those people. I remember this past week, I go to the grocery store and I feel like I am beset on all sides by enemies. I'm watching everyone around me constantly. If it is an Anglo female, I'm watching them. If they are Latinx, Hispanic males, I'm watching them. I'm keeping my eye on them to see if they try to do anything, start
Like
anything.
what?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, maybe they'll come in with guns or something and try to shoot people in our stores that have a pretty diverse, crowd that's in there. So I don't know what they're gonna do. And you know what? I never worried about that before this. And I said, well, I didn't worry about that before this. Why am I worried about it now? Why would they be any more uh, bold about doing it than they were? I don't know. So maybe they think that they
Right.
won't be arrested this time. They think they can kill people and not be arrested, not go to jail. I mean, look at things like what happened to Trayvon Martin. and that these people they
Or maybe all of this is clutter in your mind. It's clutter,
exactly, and that's why
spring
spring
cleaning that needs to
cleaning.
be decluttered.
Yeah, because I shouldn't feel that way when I'm out and about. I didn't feel like it before, right? So what is it that makes you feel that? Because I do believe that these people are in the minority. I do believe that this election, that there's been some not quite interest good stuff. Some of it on that side, certainly some of it on our side. That I mean, what morons run a candidate, with only 3-4 months before an election for the highest responsible civil servant in the country. Who does that? Reacting to some bullshit that some stupid actor
Well, as you
says
said, though,
in
Penelope.
a article.
But this is
My God.
another thing we have to start doing. We have to start stop relitigating this issue, right? And the thing is, and one of the things you said is, in the very beginning, not necessarily who does a campaign with 3 months left to go, but who accepts the nomination of
That's
the
right.
campaign for 3 months ago. So it but we have to start relitigating this, right? We have to stop and saying what could we have done better? What is it that we what mistakes? Even the George Clooney thing. It's like, okay, that happened.
I know it happened, but I think that if I keep saying it, that maybe will shame him into keeping his mouth shut for the rest of his life.
Well,
Now,
no, because all it does is it just lets you say, okay, it goes like one of my favorite Stephen King's book is a Pet Cemetery, because it had this thing where when the first time you took something to the cemetery, this is a spoiler for a 30-40 year old book.
Yes, yes, yes.
The first time he took something back there and buried it, it came back, but it wasn't quite right.
Right.
So then when he goes back the next time, he says, well, I didn't do it soon enough.
Right.
So, and it didn't turn out right again.
Yes.
And so the next time he goes back, he tells himself something else, and it's going back, and you know how it's going to end up. And to me, that said, that is how we react, is that we figure that if we do something that didn't work out the first time, if we tweak it, then it'll come out better the next time. And that generally doesn't work. And so in the case of somebody that puts these opinions out, they'll say, well, I didn't speak up soon enough or forcefully enough or whatever. And they're just going to do it again, but they're just going to tweak it to say, well, the last time when I told you this is what happened, and it's your fault, but this time it's going to turn out different, and so it'll happen again. But the other problem that we have is that these issues are things that are much too complex to come up with an overnight solution. I mean, this thing has been going on forever. And then when it turns out different than everybody said it was going to be, or even though they kept hedging it by saying it's going to be razor thin and it could go either way, and then all of a sudden you come up and analyze, well, why it didn't go the way you thought it would.
Hmm.
So the thing is, we have to, number one, stop looking for instant solutions to complex problems.
Yeah. And when are we gonna get all the polls and just throw them out and stop looking at them? When are we gonna stop doing that? Because we always say we're gonna do it. It's like that thing in your house that you mean to throw away all the time, but at the end of 3 years it's still there. You
Hmm.
always meant to throw it out. Why haven't you done it? Why haven't you thrown out this thing that serves no real purpose? This poll, these polls. Stop with the polls. We keep saying it every single
But
cycle.
again,
We don't
but
need
again,
this. Declutter ourselves. Throw it
yes,
out.
right. But again, what are the polls? All these polls and things is media, more media. You have to answer this. And I mean, we've talked about this previously, but that concept, they send you this notification and say, hey, we want to know what you think. And you go through the entire thing, the little survey, you say exactly excuse me, what you think, and then it's like, okay, now I want to send my thing in. And you push the button and it says, now, okay, now how much money you're going to give us? I said, I thought you wanted to know what my opinions were. Well, no, how much money are you going to give us? And that's all it is. And you can't even send in what you think and say, hey, you registered Democrat, registered Republican, whatever. We want to hear from you, but only if you pay us money.
Both parties do it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Registered Democrat, registered Republican. That you know we want to hear from you, but only if you send us money. And
Right.
that's like,
Well, that's what it's for.
this
I
craziness.
think that's
Yeah.
what the polls are for too. And we listen to
Hmm.
them, and we get nervous and we get upset, and then there's articles about, you're feeling nervous about the polls, read this, or if you think the polls
Yeah.
should go this way, read that, or
Yeah.
if the these polls are money making propositions. It's like,
Hmm.
if your candidate is losing, obviously he or she needs more money. If
Right.
your candidate is winning, obviously he or she needs more money to maintain their position.
Right. And the thing that's interesting is that we talked about this again. We have the fact that you have these people, 40 and under running these campaigns who basically, because Barack Obama ran a very successful campaign in social media, now they're like, well, that's all you do. They've forgotten about all the other, major campaign legwork that's done, which again, Barack Obama did, because he did a whole lot of legwork, people walking door to door, stuff like that. But then they just gave up on all that and just kind of said, okay, everybody just go online, not understanding that everyone doesn't have an online presence and everyone is not getting that information. So, I don't know. It's what we do. I think we have two Ottos, Otto and Otto's twin.
Yeah, I got knocked out.
Yep, but it shows you like you're still here, like you and your twin Otto.
Well, which one do I speak and which one do I leave silent?
The one that you're speaking on, I guess. I don't know which one is speaking. All right, now
Now
talk.
there's, now there's only one.
Now we did it. Now we did it.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, but yeah, we are trying to work through these things. It's, again, like you say, Cranston, to stop looking for instant solutions to complex problems. And this is a complex problem, but I think we have to number one, admit that it is a problem, and then try to figure out, how we
But
maintain
what's
our
the problem
sanity.
then? What's the
Hmm?
problem? What is it? That's what I said. What is the problem?
Finger pointing is the first problem.
Yeah, I mean, I say for me, I say the problem is, again, for myself, going into this spiral, the finger pointing, whatever, but all that is part of the spiral, isn't it? We get started, and, oh my God, how did this happen? Oh, I cannot believe it. Well, what if so and so had done this? What if so and so had done that? Okay, none
Well,
of those things.
finger
Yeah,
pointing then, and
yeah,
relitigating it, right?
relitigating, yeah. But the thing
Right.
is, but how can we? All right, I don't think that, other than blaming the person who is responsible, like George Clooney, for instance, I don't think that I'm doing a whole lot of finger pointing. So I think,
Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. You finger pointed.
what? Who?
You said who runs for office with 100 and whatever amount now days to go.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm saying I didn't. I mean, I don't know who was it, whose idea that was, but I'm thinking George Clooney was the one who's responsible for that.
Well, he helped. I think
Yeah, it is. And I said, I'm
I
not.
mean, understand.
I'm never getting off that pony. I'm
Well,
just gonna admit it.
understand.
I'm never getting off that pony.
The first debate, Joe Biden was horrible.
But you
He
know
was
what?
horrible at that debate.
You know
But
what
no,
though?
no, let me finish. Let me finish. And in the second debate, Kamala Harris was fantastic in that debate. But the problem is, just because you watched it and I watched it and people on this panel watched it, doesn't mean the majority of voters watch that debate. So
Yeah. Or but yeah. But the thing
you're
is,
living in a bubble. We live in a bubble where
yeah.
you think people.
But can you hear me?
Yeah.
What I was gonna say is like, and that she was good in the debate is irrelevant.
Yes,
That he was
it was.
bad in the debate, irrelevant. You know why? Because the job he does not include doing debates. That is not the
Yeah.
job he's hired for. That's
But I'm
like me.
just
Like I was saying,
saying.
that's like
When
me to have my plumber and saying that, oh my God, my plumber doesn't sing opera, so I'm going to fire him.
Well,
He's
what
not
I'm saying,
supposed to sing opera. He's supposed to be a damn plumber.
but
Hire
nobody,
the plumber for plumbering.
but people weren't watching. The majority of the debate did not get a rating. If you add all the people that voted, the 70 million that voted for Trump and the 60 million that voted for Kamala Harris, that's not the number that watched the debate.
And when the number one Google search after the election was, why wasn't Joe Biden on the ticket, on the ballot?
Well,
Yeah,
the
because they
thing
didn't
is, like
watch
I
that
said,
debate.
well, the thing is, number one, don't care if he does not debate well. That is not what he is
No,
hired
because
for.
nobody watching it. There's so many other. Listen, the debates are on different channels. They're on different stations. There are so many other things that people were watching.
Yeah,
Like sporting events. They didn't
right.
stop the game. It's like there's other shit to watch. People are not
Are not
stopping their lives
necessarily
to watch the debate.
focusing, but what it is that the media, the mass market media, trying to flex on the American public,
It's navel
saying
gazing. It's
yes,
navel gazing. They're
yes,
looking at their own navel, and they want you to watch their navel too. They
yeah,
want you to look at it too.
because this is their bid for power.
Yes,
This is
it
mass
is.
market media and social media to that to the same extent. This is their bid for power.
They're not
You
watching.
know,
People aren't watching that.
yeah,
People they will have real lives.
yeah,
They're not
and so
watching
they're
that.
expecting things to be normal, and so we got people going around doing stuff that's just not normal, which is you already have somebody who is in office who
Yeah,
got all these votes. You let him go back into office, and if he wants to hand you his vice president, he wants to hand you the presidency, then let's do that. But why don't you
yeah.
let the guy who
It's
got
like George
there,
George George Clooney George Clooney op-ed piece in the New York Times was based solely on that debate. Period.
which
That's
was
it.
irrelevant because he doesn't do that for a living. That is not his job.
Yeah, well,
Um,
that's what I always say. That I would say I would get rid of the debates altogether. But I've talked to people who also said, but you do want to see how this person will perform, and
for
can they
what?
do this?
Perform for what? No, 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 and no.
Well, but it's
Perform what?
because mhm.
Perform what? I mean, you want to see him sit there and stand there, sort of say something. Here's a question, answer that. Here's a question, answer that. Now I'm saying, in what part of his presidential duties does Joe Biden have to do that?
And
What part?
none.
None. So, what does that reflect? All it is the mass market media basically inserting themselves into this process so they can make money. That's
Hmm.
all it is. Has nothing to do about what the president's duties are. Nothing to do about what it is that he can or can't do. I just want to be able to see, see presidential. Oh, for heaven's sakes! Do you even know what that means? I mean, have any of you all even gone back and cracked open your seventh grade civics book to know what a president does?
Hmm.
Probably not. So, stop talking about what is
And
presidential and what is not. I'm sorry, you said something, Sonia? No, yeah. Oh, wait, you're muted. Ah, there you go. Can I hear you? It says you're unmuted now, but
they're not.
there we
I
go.
was gonna say, yeah. I said, and they're not teaching it now in seventh grade civics because nobody's paying attention. There's no need for critical thinking because we're all being spoon fed what they want us to think. So I
Yeah.
think in that, uh, I two things popped into my head as you all were talking. The Sweet Honey in the Rock song, "We Are the Ones." They're going with what Cranston said. We are the ones we've been waiting for.
Hmm.
Stop. Okay, the election didn't go what you wanted, or maybe it did go where you wanted. Sit down, plan. What are you going to do now? Give yourself a motivation factor to get you through the new year. What are you going to do? Are you going to go out and help people that you think are getting lost away? Or are you going to just sit around and gloat or pout? Just figure out what you're going to do and do it. And stop, stop blaming it on other people. Just do what you said you were going to do. Um another thought that popped in my head is, yes, we are the ones we're waiting for, but you've got to find your community. Maybe there's somebody else who's got that same kind of plan that you have. Don't don't isolate yourself so much so that you get back into that spiral of despair because you feel like you're the only one doing it.
And think about
um
it. Think about it. That there's a world where Kamala Harris won, and in that world where she has had won, what would you be doing now? Just
mhm,
feeling maybe feeling a little better, but as far as active, like Sonia's saying, actively doing things or helping people or protesting or writing a letter to the editor, would you have done any of those things? It's like what would you have done anyway? Except be more happy and relieved.
mhm. Because there would have been a call to action for people to do something. Well, what would you be doing if she had won? Or if even if Biden was in office, what would you be doing? You wouldn't just be sitting there feeling really happy about it and just kind of, oh, now I don't have to do
Oh my
anything.
God, yes, we would. That's exactly what we would have done. We'd sat
We
here
wouldn't be
on our
we wouldn't be
hands
doing
and
any
done absolutely nothing.
we wouldn't be doing anything
Nope.
because
We'd be sitting. Nope.
none of us would be the ones that she would be choosing to be on her in her cabinet. We'd be criticizing her cabinet as, oh my God, I can't believe she picked him. He's too conservative. Or I can't believe they picked her. She said this thing about Jews. It's a game we're playing. We have to refuse to participate. We can't. The one thing we can do is refuse to participate.
I don't know if I want to refuse to participate so broadly, but I do want to refuse to participate in that level of um, emotionally putting myself into the process that I have no control over. I
Well,
do want to do
it's
that.
like when Obama chose Larry Summers as his
Hmm.
Secretary of Treasury, I think, or
Hmm.
what something involving money in his administration, and everyone was, did this guy just get fired from Harvard for saying that girls can't do math?
Yeah,
And
but
everybody said, wait a minute, don't criticize him like that. He has a plan. Obviously,
yeah,
he did it
and he did
for a
not.
reason.
We found it. Yeah, we said that, and we
And his
found
plan, know what his
out.
plan was? His plan was to hire Larry Summers for the Secretary of the Treasury. That was his plan.
Yep, to placate whoever it was, the people that put him in office. And I mean, again, it's like they put this thing in front of us, and maybe sometimes things like this are the best thing that can happen because they put these people in front of us that put us to sleep. We think that, oh, all's right with the world, and we let them have excuses and let things pass that we shouldn't let pass. We're a lot less forgiving when we see those that we have identified who've already done wrongs, that we are not as forgiving and don't give them too many opportunities to right it. But somebody that, we think is like us and has the same kind of background or the same thought processes, or so we thought, you know, we think that that person is, a-okay, and we give them so many opportunities, but then find out that no, they never had the same type of values that we had or the same desires that we had. So yeah, I think to some extent, situations like this are the things that call us to action. Otherwise, we would just be kind of like, oh boy, phew, glad we got that done, right? So yeah, I'm thinking that we have to, like I said again, like just like we do, like when you're cleaning house, I decide what stays and what goes, right?
Yeah,
I
but
have.
it's like
Hmm.
we always say, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
That's right.
And maybe in this case, the baby, the bathwater, and the tub needs to go out.
No, I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, as the
The
baby didn't have a
baby,
choice in
the
being last.
baby, the baby, the bathwater, and the tub
Nip,
needs to go.
nip, no, baby stays. Everything else can go, but the baby is the thing we're preserving. That's the whole point. Why bother doing it if you're not to preserve the baby? You know, it's, I don't need the bathwater. I can
The
wash the
baby
baby
is
off with a
killing us.
rag. I mean, I think I can wash the baby off with a rag. I don't need the bathtub nor need the water. I can put a bath cloth and sit the baby in my lap and wash the baby. We need to determine what it is that is important, right? And we deal only with what is important. The other stuff we don't. That's what drives us crazy, trying to change things that we have no control over. What can we control? That's what we have to start looking at. Look around us, look at our homes, ourselves. What can I control? What can I not control? I'll tell you, my first thing on my list of controls that I have been doing is going through my bank account and looking at all these subscriptions that I have signed up for and make certain that this is actually something that I need to have, right? Start
Mhm.
removing
You know what?
subscription
That's great.
services.
That's great.
Hmm.
And it's one of the good things also that Joe Biden did is the administration with these zombie subscriptions
Hmm.
to get rid of them because for years they just kept on going.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like
And,
gym memberships. Gym memberships
yeah.
that you at the beginning of the year I'm going, and then you decide I don't want to go anymore, but they
Yep.
keep billing you, and then they ding you,
Yep.
and then they get a credit, what some creditor to call you five
Credit.
times a
Yeah.
day. You
Hmm.
know that would not have been done under any of the upcoming administration. Don't expect any of that to happen.
Yeah. I mean, let's face it, though. Under Democratic administration, Glass-Steagall, that's Clinton. And you got to watch these people all the time, all the
Well,
time.
you
And
know
that's the
well
thing.
the
Like with
thing is,
Clinton, we thought that this was somebody who thought like we did, and we did not watch them and gave them a pass. And the sad thing is, like when we hire these people, we think that they will do their jobs, right? And then something happens. We're like, wait a minute, what just happened? We thought you were going to do the job. They weren't doing the job. I mean, that's at least the one thing during the Biden administration. I felt like there were a few things that I didn't like, but by and large, I felt like, okay, this is normal. This is a person that has normal thoughts and does normal things to help people. You
well, the
know?
other thing is this is during the years of Trump, you people thought about politics all the time,
Yep.
and when this maniac was out of office, there were months would go by when we just not have
No.
any of that stuff to clutter or take up space in your mind.
Right. I like that. I want to get back to that kind of thing. That I mean, and in fact, it is not necessarily even that maniac himself, but it is the media. This is how they made their money. Constantly, consistently. I mean, MSNBC was nothing. You know, before we had what is it the 2000 was 8 elections. They were nothing, right? And now we're back at it again, more and more.
Well, they said their viewership dropped several million
When? Starting when?
shortly after the election, which is now,
Yeah,
and steadily dropping.
all of them should. All of them should, because they did nothing. They did absolutely nothing. And I'm going to say all they had to do for me is bring back Keith Olbermann. All they had to do. Where's Keith? Where's Keith? Nobody would give
Maybe
Keith.
George Clooney thought he was too old.
Yeah, you're right. That must be it. All I wanted, just a little bit of Keith, would have kept me stable for this entire election season. But no, no Keith.
No, but he got replaced by Joe Rogan. So
Again, Keith. Where's Keith? Right? That's not helping me any. That's not helpful. Cranston, that was not helpful.
He's trying
So,
to help you. He's trying to help you.
I know, but that wasn't helpful. Thank you, Cranston, but that was not helpful. So, I mean, I know I'm looking at our time, and I know we're going a little bit over, and people have
Mhm.
things to do, places to go, issues
Can
to
we
resolve,
can we end on one quote? John
brains to
Lewis.
clear.
Hold on. Hold on. I
Whoa, whoa,
gotta
whoa, whoa,
find.
whoa, whoa! You don't want if you want to end on a quote, then we have to finish all the other things to end on a quote, because then we're gonna say some other stuff afterwards,
This
right? I mean, I'm saying like
is true.
birthdays, celebrations, sadness, memorials, anything that we have in that vein.
You said Oreos?
Memorials.
Memorials.
Yeah, I was Oreos.
I have been featured on a podcast called "If You Ask Betty," talking about imposter syndrome.
Did you have the
Please.
link to put in the comments?
I will put it in the comments after we finish
All right.
because
How
I
about
can't do two things. I can't go to YouTube or it'll crash my computer.
oh, okay. And how about Cranston? Anything going on?
well,
Anything fun?
well, I did see something last night or early this morning that, and this is one of those things that it's not a rumor; it was confirmed. They did show him talking about it, but that they said that Ryan Coogler is currently writing the script for Black Panther 3, and
Oh,
it's
I
confirmed
heard.
that he is writing a part in it for Denzel Washington.
Yeah, we
We'll
heard
s-
that. Yeah,
Yeah. So let's
we're
see what
excited.
that's gonna look like. And I'm gonna, because I mean, Kugler has not let us down yet, so I'm looking forward to it. Something really great, marvelous, wonderful. Anything else that we want to report, discuss, put out there? Um, is there anything we should be watching for, uh, media wise this week that has nothing to do at all with politics? Oh, by the way, I don't know if anybody saw the Mike Tyson and that fight,
Did
or
that
if it
happen
ever took
already?
place. I
That
thought it
happened
was
already?
supposed to be yesterday,
It was
wasn't it?
last night. It was last
And
night.
Yeah,
uh-huh.
who won?
I don't
Not
even know.
Tyson. Not Tyson.
Come on. I knew that was going to happen because I believe that there's this thing where this guy pays these people to lose these fights
Was
so
it a
that he
knockout?
can keep doing
No,
these
it wasn't a
fights.
knockout. It was a decision.
No. See,
Yeah.
that's the worst.
If you go on YouTube, I don't remember which channel which it was. They have the highlights of the fight.
Because
You
All,
see,
remember,
but
all,
like
remember,
all three, all 5 minutes of it. Yeah,
all the
or
best
five.
fights.
remember like Raging Bull, where he has to throw the fight, in order to get the opportunity to, move up and be able to fight the champion or whatever. He has to throw a fight. That's like, come on. Like people like Mike Tyson's like, look, my
But
pockets are
the
getting a little
thing is,
thin.
Jake Paul.
Yeah,
You
that's his
went
name.
you went to a decision with a 60-year-old man.
Yeah,
A
Yeah,
decision. No one goes through a decision. Understand the best fights in boxing history weren't decisions.
Yeah.
The judges didn't make the call. Either somebody got a
A
TKO
knockout,
or a
yeah,
knockout
TKO, or
or didn't
yeah,
come out for the final round. You know,
yeah.
something a decision. That means somebody had to go there and
It's,
watch 12 rounds. Was it 12 rounds?
I don't know. I just watched the highlights on YouTube.
yikes.
12,
I was
12 rounds.
told.
Let's say it's a normal fight, which is 12 rounds. And boxing fans know that most fights,
Mm,
especially championship fights, used to be 15.
mm-hmm.
And so now it got reduced to 12. So 12 rounds of these guys dancing. dancing for 12 rounds.
Yeah.
Oh
Well,
my God.
when I found out how old he was, it reminded me of some comedian who was saying that he had this he was fighting this other guy and stuff, and said he had him on the ground begging, please, mister, don't die. So
My
Okay. All
God.
right. That's awful. That's awful.
My God.
Okay.
I wish I could just inject, the 25-year-old Mike Tyson to the ring and just let him loose for like 3 rounds on this guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but it's so sad to me that he would even kind of agree to do it. You know.
He's sad, but he put 20 million in the bank. So
I
yeah,
know,
which
and I
which
know,
which
I
which
know.
cover most of the medical expenses. Yeah.
Oh, be quiet,
My
you.
God.
I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
this.
more than,
It's kind of like I work out enough to protect my body so that I'll be able to spend the money or have a nest egg, to take me for the rest of my life, because I ain't got no other income, right?
can you
I
imagine?
mean,
I mean, it's a special feeling to have another grown man hit you upside your head.
I, that is not something I'm looking
It's
forward
not.
to
No.
any
You know,
time in my life.
your brain does move. It's
Mm,
just a thing when you think your brain is like, it doesn't, it's not a thing, it's an organ that moves. It moves.
hmm
And
Yeah,
it
slaps
slaps,
around
it
inside your
slaps itself,
brain.
it slaps
hmm
itself around in your skull.
hmm
Yeah.
So, it's not fun. And if you're
Mm-mm-mm.
60 some years old, it's much less
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, yeah. He's our age doing that. That's crazy. I don't
I don't
want
want
that
my brain
happening.
slapping. I don't want anybody slapping my brain around.
Nope, I do not. I do not care for that. Not one iota.
And
Come
like Francis
on.
said, could you imagine the next few days for this guy?
Oh my goodness, I can't imagine. I can't imagine. I mean, I get up in the morning, if I do something crazy like stretch the wrong way, and I'm feeling that. Can you
Hmm.
imagine a grown person hitting you, over and over again to your solar plexus?
For
My God
12
forbid, my head, you
for
know,
12 rounds.
12 rounds of that
Yeah.
nonsense. And then, of course, and the worst part is this: at 60 years old, you get into the ring with someone when you have been the champion, right? And they're sitting there and they're pummeling you and like beating you terribly.
there
Yeah,
was no. And the highlights I saw, there were no pummeling.
but to say that you
They
you're
I
hitting,
did.
know
you're
it was
hitting
that
stuff
bad.
like this.
It was that bad. I saw no
Yeah,
pummeling, and
yeah. But if that here happened to you, is like even if I was pummeled, it's like I'm certainly not going to go down. I just got to stay here and fight and be pummeled and pummeled
Yeah.
because I'm not gonna go down. I got to be here for
Well,
12 freaking rounds, and I'm 60
I'm
years
sure
old. This
I'm
is
sure the Anderson box.
ridiculous.
I'm
Mm.
sure the Anderson boxer he got that Jake Paul got a couple of good punches in, and that's all it takes, really.
Yeah.
It's all it takes to really. He don't have to pummel you. This. Like the old fighters used to see, like somebody against the ropes, and
Mhm.
somebody just railing up on your,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
railing.
Yeah.
That probably didn't happen, but that's not mean that
It doesn't need to happen when you're 60 years
when
old.
you that yeah.
You know.
All it takes is one or two punches to have your brain slap up against
Yeah.
your intracranial
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah,
I mean, you don't
it's
have the speed you used to have when you were this young guy with
Hmm.
muscles twitching. We walk into the ring. Come on.
yeah. Your brain is like, what the hell are you doing?
Hmm.
Your brain's trying to tell your feet, get us out of here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like being in 10 consecutive car accidents.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that he never has to do this again. I'm hoping that this is over forever for him.
Oh yeah, he
You
gonna do it
know,
again.
I mean, but I'm saying the reality is that so many people just robbed that man, during the time that he was fighting. He should not even have to think about doing some insanity like this. But he was sometimes like the better you are at what you do, the more of a target you become. And my goodness, that man was a target. And
Mm.
now look at him, 60 years
He-
old. I mean, 2 years from now, he may be like Ali was, with the Parkinson's and stuff like that. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't want that to happen to him. It's just horrible, horrible. That being said,
Would you fight at your age if you were a boxer? If you get $20 million in the bank account?
oh yeah, sure.
It's all right then.
Oh
Okay,
yeah,
there you go.
absolutely. But I'm not that bright, so
Mm.
I would do it
and
because
you
I
and you
figure,
be less, and you be like several IQ levels less bright by having
yeah, I
12
sure
rounds of
would.
boxing.
But the
Well,
positive.
that's
Yeah, my family, my kids, they be set for life. And for me, they say, she don't need much. Just sit her there in front of that television show and have somebody there to get the drool off her face, when she's, watching the shows and stuff, 'cause she's not moving anywhere because every bone in her body has been broken. So yeah. But everybody else
well. Around town, a lot of the senior living facilities on a nice sunny day that's not too sunny and not too whatever and stuff, they will roll all of the old people outside in the sun like plants or something like that. So
uh,
you hope you
that can
don't
happen
end
for
up
me.
like that. So no.
Well, that can happen. You know what? I say as long as they make sure that I am wearing like my bathing suit, the kind of sheer one with the pattern on it, and then flip me over so I can be tanned equally on
Mm.
each side.
No,
Then
just
we're
my
all
luck. Just my luck. I look like Captain Pike in that Star Trek thing.
So what
right.
what what did two beeps yes and no? Which one was that?
Yeah, that's me. Pretty much. That's
Yeah.
me.
Okay. There we
Yeah,
go.
a big black monolith in my head sticking out of it. That's it.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah. So we don't want that to happen to any of us. But for $20 million,
Mhm.
we just might roll the dice, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, my face would look like that too. My face would look just like Pike's face and everything.
Oh no. So anybody else got anything other than the fight? I told you. See, now you wanted to end on a quote, Sonia, and you would have
My
ruined it.
quote, my quote would have been is connected to the topic. See, yeah.
Yep, but it would have been absorbed. It would have been completely swallowed up by Otto, sitting there looking like Captain Pike. That's
This is true.
okay. You don't want that. You don't want that. All right, now, okay, now for realsies this time. Now, do we have anything else before Sonia makes her serious quote? No. Okay. All right, now go ahead, Sonia, make your serious quote.
Okay. Don't get lost in a sea of despair. Be hopeful, be optimistic. Our struggle is not the struggle of the day, a week, a month, or a year. It is the struggle of a lifetime. Never, ever be afraid to make some noise and to get in good trouble, necessary trouble. John Lewis.
Mhm.
All right. Thank you, Sonia. All right, with that said, thank you all so much for joining us this evening in the Otherhood. We'll be back again next week. The next week's the week we get to talk about Thanksgiving, isn't it? Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Thanksgiving show. So be here to talk with us during the Thanksgiving show. We'll be dealing with all method of media regarding, I guess, Thanksgiving, and then
I
what our
want to
plans
know.
are.
I want to know.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Look,
Yes.
the
What is
number
it
of
after the quote?
Macy Day parades that we've all watched over the years. We've seen different cartoon characters, balloons come and go. I want to know who do you remember like that's still there from
Well,
when we
that's
were
for
kids?
next week.
Is there anybody there that still we were kids that still? I don't know.
Yeah.
Never
That's
mind.
for next
Yes.
week.
Okay.
Don't say. Wait.
Yeah.
Hold it.
Hold it for next
Hold it
week.
next week. The Talk Macy's Day Parade. So again, thank you all very much for joining us. It has been a hoot. We will be nice, washed out minds and ready to go for next week. Take care of yourselves. Be productive this weekend and next week. And again, we'll see you back here next week in the Otherhood. Take care. Bye
Good
bye.
night.
Good
Good night.
night.